have been postponed due to COVID. I am GL, also known as Gladys Louise, also known by my Twitter name, Never Enough GLT, here to help you with your starts and sits. And today we have two brilliant analysts to help you. One of them will be on in the second half of the show, Gerson, also the Fantasy Pod G. And then the other one is Hamid.
Hey guys. Hamid Sandu here. You can find me. I'm a contributor for The Armchair. I have articles out every Wednesday for Dynasties, Buy Low, Sell High, and also you can find me on Twitter as Junkie85. These are exciting times.
Yeah.
With all this COVID, with the impacting the schedules of the Patriots games.
Yeah, so Hamid, what do you know about the Chiefs game? You were telling me it's going to be played.
So the Chiefs and Patriots game is actually kicking off at 7:05 p.m. tomorrow, and the Packers and Falcons game is kicking off at 8:50 p.m. So we'll probably be in the third quarter, I can imagine, by the time the Packers and Falcons kick off. Kind of sucks, though, because we have an overlap of games. I mean, you usually don't want that. I don't see why the NFL couldn't just move to kick off for Patriots and Chiefs at 6 o'clock instead of 7. But yeah, I mean, who am I to say why or question them, I guess.
Okay, first question from Jason. CeeDee Lamb or Marquis Brown? I'm going CeeDee Lamb on that one all day.
I agree with you. I'm also going CeeDee Lamb there. I mean, granted, CeeDee Lamb's only seeing, I think his target share is around 15% or under. He hasn't seen that much of a target share, but he's still capable of producing, which he has. His ceiling is a little capped on that offense, but the Cowboys should happen to, of course, they're going to be scoring a lot, so I take CeeDee Lamb there. A little news about injuries. Mixon is active, so is DeAndre Hopkins. Devontae Freeman is expected to start today for the Giants, so we may start seeing him get more involved in this offense, so keep an eye on that as well. Granted, the Giants do face the Rams.
And Julio? Is Julio playing?
Julio should be, he's expected to play, yes.
And Devontae Adams?
It's not official, but yes, Devontae Adams is active today.
Okay, so Jason wanted to know on those. Morning, Jared. And then I agree with, or I said CeeDee Lamb. Marquis Brown is too boom or bust. Like his targets have been consistent, but he hasn't, it's like 34 yards. And of course, the Monday night game where he was targeted twice, got 2 passes. He's just, I think that Lamar's going to try to prove that he's a lot better than that Monday night game, and it's going to be a lot of Lamar running, a lot of Lamar passing off. But again, Marquis is too inconsistent for me. Distance scoring: Parker, Julio, Davis, or Carson. Parker, Julio, Davis, or Carson.
Is that just picking one or picking two?
T-Bone, do you just want one of those? And I'm guessing one, because he just says distance scoring. So Parker, Julio, Davis, or Carson?
Wow.
Yeesh.
I mean, I love Parker because of his matchup with the Seahawks. They're the worst defense against a wide receiver this year. And that game is going to be a lot of high scoring. You love Fitzpatrick and the way he just loves chucking the ball downfield. The Dolphins are going to be expected to throw a ton. They're not going to be able to keep up with this. Well, they're not going to be able to handle this game by the run game. So this game is going to be a higher scoring game. As crazy as this, man, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I would, if I'm picking between Julio and Parker, man, I hate saying this. I'm going to have to go with Devontae Parker here. I think he has wide receiver one, top 12, top 10 actually, for that matter, upside this week against the Seahawks. And I really hate to say that. As far as Mike Davis, if I'm picking two guys here, also Mike Davis is a must start. He's seeing the receptions, he's seeing the carries, he's getting that volume. Not as much as CMC, but he's getting it enough where he's producing. And if I'm not mistaken, he was a top 12 RB last week. So I don't see why you bench Mike Davis. I think Mike Davis is a must start until CMC is back. While we were talking, by the way, Kareem Hunt is also active today. Joe Mixon is active. DJ Chark is active today as well. So that should be a great boost for Minshew. With DJ Chark in there, if you have Minshew and you're trying to stream somebody, he's not a bad choice.
Let's go back to T-Bone's question. I am going to go with Parker too. Seattle is giving up the most fantasy points to wide receivers. They're also averaging 35.3 targets to wide receivers. This should be a game where Fitzpatrick just throws the ball all day long. through that porous defense. So
So
I'm going
let me
for
so let me tell you guys how bad the Seahawks are against the wide receiver. Okay, guys, I'll tell you how bad. Their 1,136 yards given up to the wide receiver position is by far the most by over 300 yards. The second team is the Denver Broncos, and they've already played a game. That's how bad the Seahawks the wide receiver defense is.
Yeah.
Their 47.9 fantasy points per game is more. It's 13 points more than the next team up, which is the Cowboys at 34. That's how bad this team is against the wide receivers.
Right.
So if you have Devontae Parker, yes, I love his ceiling today against this team. Even though Julio Jones is Julio Jones, but I don't think this year he's had that type of season. And so yeah, you go Devontae Parker. Anybody with Devontae Parker, you start. He's a must start this week.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Kyle wants to know PPR, Hawkinson or Higbee. Hawkinson, even before. So you have to think the Saints are missing both Marshawn Lattimore and Janoris Jenkins. And even before that, they were giving up the most fantasy points to the tight end position. So I would go Hawkinson. What do you got? Hawkinson and Higbee, PPR.
Oh, man. It's really hard to pass on Higbee there against the Giants. But I can understand the Hawkinson love, but also consider that the Lions are all healthy today. They do have Galladay back of course, they got him back last week as well.
But they shared last week. He didn't need into his target share. Galladay didn't need into Hawkinson's target share last week. So, and they're going against that defense that are missing two of their best. I'm sticking with Hawkinson. You're going to go Higbee?
Hawkinson here, and I can't blame you if you wanted to take Hawkinson here as well. I mean, you're chasing the touchdown here. So if I had to place a bet on who gets a touchdown, it'd be Hawkinson for me as well.
You're welcome, Jared. Or Jason. Jared wants to know Cook or Kamara. Oh man, I have PPR. I'm going Kamara. No.
Wait. Why can't you start both? Wait, no. Let's ask this one. Why can't you start both?
Jared, why can't you start both?
Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara, correct?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's
I would love to know why you can't start both.
Unless he's doing, I don't know. Jared, why can't you start both there, dear? Let us know.
But if I had to pick between the two, there's no way you don't go with Kamara. No Michael Thomas. Yeah. Jared Cook is also out. I don't see how you don't start Kamara here. I think Kamara has top. First of all, they both are top three RBs. But if I had to see who got more, I would go with Kamara. I mean, and Kamara shows you, both of these running backs are great. You can't go wrong with either one. But I'm taking Kamara here.
It's a FanDuel question.
But in FanDuel, you can start more than one RB, can't you?
Yeah, I don't know who he's starting in the other place.
Well, yeah, but either way, man, I'm going with Kamara here.
Yeah, I'm going Kamara too. We got you a DFS question, and I'm still going Kamara. In DFS, I played this week and in almost every lineup, but I didn't play FanDuel. I played DraftKings. Every lineup, It's Kamara. He's like Hamid said. There's no Thomas. There's no Jared Cook. Yeah, and he was good with both of them.
Not just that, a little bit about Drew Brees, guys, this season. And I saw a bunch of conversation about Drew Brees on Twitter as well, that his arm is shot, he's not playing well. Well, first of all, he's playing well as that offense is supposed to dictate, which is a high completion percentage, low jump-off passing, and high QBR. Here's the issue, though. His air yards, his intended air yards is what's killing him, is in his upside. 3.9 yards is by far the lowest completion air yards in the league. His intended air yards of 4.8 is also the lowest amongst quarterbacks. His average air yard distance is also middle of the pack amongst all quarterbacks. So his aggression percentage, and aggression percentage is when you throw into tight windows, is also bottom 10 in the league. So he's just not throwing it deep anymore. So to expect those big, those 50, 60-yard touchdowns where he's completing a 40-yard pass in the air I don't think you're going to see that anymore from Drew Brees. So with Kirk Cousins on the other end, he's been the polar opposite, actually. He's been more aggressive this season. He's throwing it downfield significantly more. So taking advantage of Kamara is going to get at least 10 receptions, if not more. I don't see how he doesn't, considering that no MT or Jared Cook. So I'm taking Kamara here, just to give a little bit more context of why I'm taking Kamara as well.
Yeah, Gerson and Kamara overcooked, but both are good plays. Jared said that's just what he had. He was just second guessing. So trust your instincts. That's Jared and everyone. Trust your instincts. Don't second guess yourself. This is like too crazy of us. Too crazy. We're in 2020. We have COVID seedings. We have injuries galore. Trust your instincts. Good instincts. All right, and then let's talk for a second, because it shouldn't take more than that, about the Thursday night game, the Jets against the Broncos.
Oh my God! I actually had the Jets to win that. I picked the Jets to win that game because Crowder was active, and I actually started Crowder in one of my leagues once he was active, and man, I was happy. I benched T.Y. Hilton this week. By the way, if you do have T.Y. Hilton, he's up against Kyle Fuller. The Bears defense is not giving up a touchdown to the wide receiver position yet to date, and they've already played the Falcons. So just keep that in mind.
Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson, and those two corners are the two best corners right now in the league. They belong to Chicago.
Yeah, so if you have T.Y. Hilton, you bench him this week. I'm actually staying away from the Colts offense as a whole this week, unless you have, of course, Jonathan Taylor. You start him, and maybe even Wiley Cox. But outside of that, but getting back to the question, of course, about Thursday Night Football. Yeah, the only takeaway for me there was I did like the fact that what do you call it? Sam Darnold. He actually a little bit more aggressive. He looked a little bit more confident. I love the fact that he was running the ball with as well. He just looked more aggressive. He looked like he was out there with a purpose. The issue was though, it did not. He showed lack of consistency with his decision making and being able to go through his reads faster. And as a result, he missed some open receivers at the time. So this is more about the Jets' offense being as bad as it is. I mean, I don't know how Adam Gase still has a job at this point. If you have a Jet, I'm not even confident of starting Le'Veon Bell when he's back. I mean, it's just that bad of an offense. The only person you're comfortable starting was that?
I wouldn't even start Le'Veon Bell when he comes back.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Jamison Crowder has actually been he's double-digit fantasy points in every game he's played. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look this up, but I don't think he has less than 60 fantasy points in the 3 games that he started, actually.
Their offense.
So, yeah, their offense goes through them. So I don't see how you don't only go with Jamison Crowder in that offense. It was great to see, of course, Jerry Jeudy, though, mossing that cornerback, but you like to see more than 4 targets from Jerry Jeudy, though. Outside of those 4 targets and those 2 receptions, one that touchdown, of course, where that should not have been a completion, but you like to see more out of Jerry Jeudy than just 4 targets. Granted, yeah, they had a third-string quarterback who was a rookie QB. I understand that, but you would think he would get more targets. Granted that he's the wide receiver 1 currently for that team at this time. Granted that Sutton's not playing, and now Kamler, of course, is not available either. So you like to see more than just 4 targets. Of course, Tim Patrick shined really well. He had a monster game, but I don't
have to consider the quarterback too. It was Rippon and not Drew Lock. And Jared's strength with Jets defense. The over-under was way over what they predicted. I started Melvin Gordon, but not because I'm brilliant, only because I had to out of necessity. So his targets were down. He was, I think he was only targeted 4 times this week, but he had over 100 rushing yards and the touchdown. The Jets are just a mess. They're just a hot mess. And Greg Williams' defense isn't what Greg Williams and Adam Gase. It's like a match made in hell. I mean, I don't understand how both of them still have viable jobs. I really don't. And that crap at the end of the game where the game was clearly out of hand and his defense were still going after when they were kneeling down, that's just ridiculous. Neither one of them should have jobs as far as I'm concerned.
And for everybody who started Melvin Gordon said, wow, Melvin Gordon had a great game. If you go back and watch the game, outside of that long touchdown that he had, I think it was about 40, 45 yards. I don't remember the exact number off my head right now. He was averaging under 3 yards per carry before that one touchdown long touchdown he had. And the Broncos only had allowed no touchdowns to the running back on the ground before that. So, and here's how well the Broncos defense has been against the run. Okay. their fantasy points that they've given up, including the 4 games that they've already played. Keep in mind, they've only played 4 games, and everybody else played 3 games, of course, outside the Jets. They're still allowing the 4th fewest fantasy points to the running back position. Okay, and of course, they've already played the game, so they've allowed 88 rushing attempts against running backs on their team, and they're still allowing under.
Are you saying the Broncos are by saying allowing? You mean that their running backs are getting that? Is that what you're saying?
No, their opponent running backs. Their opponent running backs only had 1 touchdown the entire season. That was a Melvin Gordon touchdown, and including.
So the Jets,
what was that?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm speaking out of turn. I'm using I had the Broncos stats up. My bad.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So, I mean, I don't think Gordon is a safe play by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, I played him out of necessity. He's not a safe play. The Broncos offense is slightly better than the Jets offense, but only they're injured. Noah Fant is weak to week. I mean, Judy is hobbling out here. Your Lock is out. Neither of those offenses should have scored as many points as they did, but they were going against really bad defenses, both of them, so it's good.
Yeah, if you had told me I was actually going to bet the under if I was a betting man, I don't bet, but if I was betting, I would have betted the under on that game. So I was very surprised by the amount of scoring there was.
Yes, I would too.
Yeah, so, but yeah, Noah Fant is probably, and of course, the Broncos, they're hurt. That's all there is. That offense is so talented when they're all healthy. So, of course, Sutton's gone this season. We're not going to get him back. But Drew Lock should be back. He has a 50% shot of playing next week. If not, then the following week he should probably be active. But, the Broncos just matter them getting healthy. I think the offense is going to be really well down the stretch. But I think that's close enough for this offense that we were expecting coming into the season won't be there just because Cortland Sutton is not available. And then Lock coming off the injury. He's going to take time to adjust. So I don't think we're going to see that type of offense this year, unfortunately. But that offense will get better once Locke is healthy. Yeah,
and I mean, Philip Lindsay out. Yeah, they're just really injury ridden. You can't say the same about the Jets offense. They have injuries, but they're just not good.
Right? Yeah, even if they were healthy, even if the Jets are healthy, I'm not sure how confident you are right now. If anything, I think a healthy offense actually helps Jamison Crowder more. He's a slot receiver. Right. He's catching on the underneath route. Actually, if they're healthy, I think that actually opens up more routes for Jamison Crowder having more receptions. Actually, I can actually argue that we have not seen his full potential just yet.
Okay, but the question is, in an Adam Gates offense, are you going to see his full potential? Like, I don't.
Probably. We're not seeing anybody's full potential with an Adam Gates offense. I don't understand why he's still there, but unfortunately, if he's not fired this week, which he's not, then he's not going to be fired this season.
He's not going anywhere. Bye, Jared. Have a good day at work. Jared's off to work. You send me the fantasy gods be with you all. Thanks, Jared. I'm going to need that. All right. So let's just scrub Thursday night game out of our collective memory and go on to our starts and sits for our particular starts and sits for this week. I went tight end and running back. I forgot to ask you before I started where you went. And, of course, so my tight end must start was Hawkinson because, like I said, the Saints are giving away the most fantasy points to tight ends, and that was before they were missing Lattimore and Jenkins. And they're missing them this game. They're going 12.7 targets to tight ends, 16.7 fantasy points to tight ends. A lot of people were worried that Hawkinson would lose targets once Golladay came back, but last week you didn't see that. You didn't see a drop in his targets. So he had 16 targets for so far in 3 games. He's had 16 targets, 13 receptions. The over/under in that game is 57 points. It's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be just throwing and throwing. I would actually definitely put Hawkinson in as my number one. Well, I have Kettle, so he's my number one. But Hawkinson would be my number 1A going into any game that I was playing today. My sleeper actually is the Robert Tonyan, the
Green Bay tight end.
Yeah, because they are going to go against Atlanta on Monday, and Alan Lazard comes up on IR, which I didn't see coming. I don't know if anyone did. You said Adams is starting that game?
It's looking like he will start, but I prepare for him not starting, if you ask me.
So if you have Adams or if you have anyone in that game, pick up the Green Bay tight end, Tanyan. His snap counts have gone from 62, 60 to 63. He's doubled both the other two tight ends in snap counts. He's doubled them in targets. He was targeted in the red zone in both the last two games. So he is my sleeper. I would put him in.
Just to touch on him, because I did also have some stats ready for regarding him as well. The Falcons defense, okay, first of all, they're terrible anyway. Let's just be clear about that. They're allowing the second most fantasy points to the tight end position, which is 15.3, just behind the New Orleans Saints. And they've also tied for the league for the most touchdowns allowed to the tight end position with two other teams. They've allowed 4 touchdowns. They've also allowed the third most yards and the second most receptions. And teams playing against them do target their tight end a ton, which is 33, which is the third most in the league. You start Tanyan if you have him. If you stream and he's available somehow in your waiver wire and you stream tight ends, I think this is a great week to stream Robert Tanyan. I don't expect Devontae Adams to play this game because even Devontae Adams himself said that unless he's 100%, he's not going to play. And I have not seen anything from the beat writers or from the practice that we've seen on Twitter, on the videos and the recordings that he's 100% healthy. He's been limited. He hasn't had a full practice. I don't expect him to play. With Lazard also out, that leaves MVS on the outside. And I expect Tanyan to be the security blanket for Aaron Rodgers in the game. I think he's going to have a great game. Now, I'm not expecting 10 receptions from him. I think something around the lines is like 70 receptions, 80 yards, maybe a touchdown. I think he has a really good game.
I completely and totally agree with that. Who did you have for one of your starts?
My starts, and I'm going to go a little bit unconventional here. I know Will Fuller is coming off a hamstring injury. I totally get that. They're going against a Minnesota defense, which is extremely bad against the wide receiver position. They're just bad across the board, first of all, on their defense. But speaking of which, okay, they're allowing the fourth most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. They've allowed 5 touchdowns already to the wide receiver position as well, which is tied for second in the league. And they're 5th in yards allowed and also 7th in receptions. So this is a blow-up shot for Will Fuller. If he does not, first of all, as long as Will Fuller is healthy, he will be a top 12 wide receiver, in my opinion. I think you also start Deshaun Watson with confidence, and I would even start David Johnson this game as well. The Texans' defense is not that much better either. So I think this game is going to be a very high. It might be one of the highest scoring games of this week. So if you have the Texans, if you have David Johnson, yes, granted, I understand he hasn't been very well. I think he's out there. I don't even think he's an RB3 right now at that. But yeah,
Will Fuller.
Will Fuller, yeah. So Will Fuller, David Johnson, I think you start them this week. I think they will return great value for you this week, and probably their best games of the season so far.
I know that David Johnson is so far he is running back 21, and Deshaun Watson is quarterback 17. But you also have to remember that they had like the 3 roughest defenses for their first 3 games.
They did.
Absolutely. And now they're and no disrespect to Minnesota, but now their schedule is so much easier. I fully expect to see. I don't know if I'd play Fuller because I'm always afraid Fuller's going to get injured like mid-game. Like he's going to come up with a hammy, like running, and so I'm going to be out of points. But I did start David Johnson in a couple leagues, and I started Deshaun Watson because Minnesota hasn't shown that they can stop anyone right now. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I would not go off after what their first 3 games were if you're evaluating whether or not to play them, because the Chiefs, the Steelers. I can never remember the third team they played, but it was
the Ravens.
Oh my God! So yeah, they played 2 of the top 5 defenses.
Yes.
On their 3 games. No one, and he's still quarterback. He's still quarterback 17, and David Johnson's running back 21. Start them.
And just a little FYI about the Texans offense as well. Here's their schedule coming up. They got the Vikings this week. They got the Jaguars and the Titans. Packers, the Jaguars again, the Browns. So their schedule is really soft this next month and a half. You start Deshaun Watson with confidence every single week from this point on.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. So yeah, so if you've survived with a 2-1 record or even a 1-2, I think now is going to be your comeback with these players, especially with Deshaun Watson. I think he's going to get back at least for this next 4 or 5 weeks. He'll be back to his. I can see him easily being back. It would not surprise me if he has QB1 finishes. Well, not overall, but inside QB1 rankings for the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, because he's going to give you those running yards too, mainly because
Right.
his defensive line isn't that great. So he's going to give you the running yards. He's going to give you the passing yards. I completely agree with that. Who is your sleeper for your wide receivers? Did you have one?
Sleepers for wide receivers, I did not. But I did not have a sleeper in mind for my wide receiver. I don't have that. But if I had to pick one off the top of my head, I think I would have to go with Jarvis Landry. I mean, when you think of a sleeper, you think of somebody who's not been performing really well this season. Who are you expecting to actually get back on track? For me, that's Jarvis Landry against the Dallas team. That's not a very good defense either in itself. And this game should be a high-scoring game. This should be a get-right game for Odell and Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, Odell, I agree with.
Against this Dallas defense. So if you have Jarvis Landry, this is the time you start him. Dallas is allowing the second most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. They have allowed 7 touchdowns as well, which is the most in the league, mind you. And they have allowed the 6th most receiving yards and also the 11th most receptions. Think about this for a second. The 11th most receptions, the 6th most receiving yards, and the most touchdowns. While having the 11th most receptions given up in the league. That's how bad their defense is, especially in the red zone. So if you have Jarvis Landry, I think Jarvis Landry will outperform Odell Beckham this week, but I think this is where he gets it right. So I would say if I had to, off the top of my head, I'll say Jarvis Landry is my sleeper pick for this week.
There was when I was doing there was a stat that said Jarvis Landry has been on the field for 67% of the offensive snaps, but his target share is down to 17%. So I think the argument was that this is the game in the slot his target share at the same time last year was like 67. He's down like 50% in his target share, which has to do more with their run game than with them throwing to Odell or someone else. It's more that they're relying on Chubb and Hunt, which I don't think they're going to be able to do this game. They're going to have to pass the ball. So it's either Odell or Jarvis. I would lean a little bit more towards Odell than I would Jarvis, but I think both are excellent. PPR, I would go Jarvis, definitely.
Another reason why, if you look at Jarvis Landry and granted his snap, so who he's up against today, he's going to be covered by Jordan Lewis, the corner for the Cowboys. He's given up 19.1 fantasy points to Russell Gage in week 2 and 14.8 fantasy points to Tyler Lockett when targeted. Lockett was targeted 6 times and Russell Gage targeted 9 times on the snaps that he was covering those players. And Jarvis Landry is, we would like to say, better than Russell Gage, of course. We're not going to say he's better than Tyler Lockett because Tyler Lockett's a total beast, and I love Tyler Lockett because I have him in my league. But so he's up. He has a very soft matchup against the corner this week. So this is a get-right game for Jarvis Landry, and that's why I really like him a lot this week.
I agree to an extent. Again, I would slightly pick, if I had to choose between Odell and Jarvis, I would choose Odell a little bit more.
So here's the question.
He has potential.
So we need our DFS guy here. He should be in a couple of minutes ago. I'd love to ask him the values for Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. Which one is cheaper right now?
In DFS?
In DFS. Do you happen to know that? Landry's cheaper? I think you should. In DFS, I think Landry's a solid play this week.
Yeah? Okay. Okay. So I went running back for my second. I'm still, yeah. Okay.
It's totally cool.
Yeah, we can go with that. I went with Robinson for my running back must start of the week because he's going against Cincinnati, who has the 4th worst giving up fantasy points to running backs. They are allowing 29.7 attempts, 1.3 touchdowns, and 4.7 targets. And we know that Robinson is not only going to rush, but he's going to get targeted in a game that I think they've had plenty of time to get back from that Thursday night debacle that Minshew had. And with Chark back in, Minshew should be back to his old self. And Robinson should be given the ball a lot against the Cincinnati defense.
So my must start for the running back, and I can go a number of ways here. A lot of people going Ronald Jones. I totally understand that with no Leonard Fournette. But for me, a must start Jerick McKinnon. Granted, he was hurt. He did get hurt. I think it was the fourth quarter he got hurt in that game. But when he was not hurt, he's out of the 62 plays that the Niners ran. 48 of them, McKinnon was on the field, not Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson took over late, and he got those touchdowns because McKinnon got hurt. So I'm trusting McKinnon here this week as well against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are decimated on the offensive side and also on the defensive side. I think this is going to be a relatively close game, only because the Niners are so hurt on defense, but then the Eagles are hurt on offense, like pretty much across the board. But considering the game's going to be close, I think McKinnon's floor for touches is seen. I think he sees a minimum of 16 touches, if not more, this week. My sleeper, and I was just looking on Twitter to see, what everybody's thinking about David Montgomery this week. With Cohen now out for the season, of course, what's everybody thinking about? And a lot of people are fading him this week, and I totally get that. They're going up against a Colts defense, which is actually extremely good against blocking against the run, against the defense against the running back position. But look who's is Cordell Patterson really going to eat into David Montgomery's touches here? Volume is king here, and especially in PPR. His usage, we've already seen him being involved in the passing game. Granted, it wasn't much, but with Tariq Cohen no longer in the lineup anymore, take away that, David Montgomery is going to see, I think he's locked in weekly now, 20-plus touches. Granted, this is not a ceiling play this week. The Colts defense is legit on the run and the pass, but I think he should be locked in as an RB2 on a weekly basis with upside. So, granted, what's up?
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll just say that.
David Montgomery.
Yeah, David Montgomery, I think you start him, even though I think his ceiling will be capped this week against a good Colts defense. But when you have a running back who's going to get 20-plus touches, you can't bench him, can you? I mean, you really can't. And the offense is going to go through the run. That offense is built off the running game. So I don't see how you can not start David Montgomery. A lot of people are fading on him, which is a little bit surprising to me. Although somewhat
understandable. Are you playing?
I'm playing him.
I'm playing David Montgomery. I do think
I actually have him in my lineup.
The Patterson I think is a little bit worrisome, but I'm one of those people that if I see volume, I'm going to play him. So I see volume. The Colts defense is a very good defense, though. So don't. On DraftKings, he's really cheap. He's what you would call contrarian GPP play, because the other side is David Johnson. He's going to be like the same price, and he's going to be heavily owned. But I'd rather I'm a GPP player, so I'll have Montgomery. But Cordell Patterson's going to be the new Cohen, so it's whatever to me.
So a question that we were discussing about earlier, the Browns-Cowboys game, would you play Jarvis or Odell?
I would play Odell for ceiling. What's his name? Jarvis Landry hasn't been playing a lot, and he's been injured. He said it himself that he's not 100%. Well, the coach or whoever said it, he's not 100%. And to be honest, that Cowboy defense is horrible, so I'll have a little bit of both. Right now, I think I have more OBJ, but it's just let's be honest. Has anybody been excited about playing any pass catcher from the Browns? No. So, but I'm going to be playing them because of the correlation of stacking Dak Prescott, and I'm actually going to have some Baker Mayfield lineups too. So I just gotta have my exposure to them. I'm not excited about it, but to be honest, I'm not even excited about Austin Hooper, and he's coming up on my radar, and I'm like, oh man, I just think the Cowboys defense is so bad, and we've seen the shootouts that they've been in, so you have to buy in, right? Like, you can't just be like, oh, all of a sudden this defense is going to be a top 10 defense,
So what game are you focusing in on then?
Number one game I'm focusing on is the Seattle Seahawks versus the Miami. There's going to be so much in that one. Like Hamid said, he said stats about my Seattle defense. They're bad. They're without Jamal Adams. They're without Dunbar. They're without another linebacker. They're without a quarter of their defense, basically. And Jamal Adams is sadly, the heart and soul of that defense. And they're a run funnel defense, so they're a run funnel defense. They're really good against the run, but horrible against the pass. So I don't see Miami running the ball very much like they did last week versus Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to be passing the ball, and they're going to have to because Seattle is going to score a ton of points. We've seen what they've done. If you've been playing Seattle and stacking Russell Wilson, you've been pretty profitable this year. The other game I'm looking at, and probably being overlooked too, it's Minnesota versus Houston. I love that game. I'm going to be Brandon Cook and Will Fuller are very cheap. Even Jordan, I think his last name is Adkin or Aiken or something like that.
Jordan Aiken's the tight end.
Yeah, tight end. He's a pretty athletic tight end too. I like him. But I'm mostly stacking only Deshaun Watson. This is going to be the game where everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy, Deshaun Watson. He's pretty good, huh? So, yeah, I mean, we kind of forgot, right? They played the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Steelers. Those are some tough teams. I love that game. I won't have a lot of Justin Jefferson, but I will have some. But I'm mainly concentrating on Fuller, Brandon Cook, and Thielen.
Who's last name?
What was that?
Thielen. Okay.
Thielen. And then the third game that I really like that I think a lot of people, are not going to be on it, but I am, is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. Carolina's defense is bad. I mean, they've allowed 32 touchdowns in the last 19 games to running back. Arizona's offense is quickened. I think Drake's going to have a breakout game this year. It's the breakout, right? Hopefully. Either that or he's going to break out, or it's one or two. But I worry about Kyler Murray sometimes stacking him because of what's their name. You never know who that second wide receiver is going to be. I usually like to stack two wide receivers with my quarterback. So Christian Kirk is active, I believe. That's the last thing I heard. Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, even Andy Isabella did great last week. But either that, I mean, those are the three games that a lot of people are going to go to. But it's pretty straightforward. I mean, everybody wants to play New Orleans, Detroit. That's a good game too. But I think you have to really choose your spot. And so if I had two contrarians, really going over Buffalo, Las Vegas Raiders game and Jacksonville, Cincinnati game, I think those two games can actually do pretty good. But mainly, I'm all over Seattle, Miami. It's like the same thing like every week. It's just Seattle, Cowboys, or the Falcons, but the Falcons aren't on the slate. So,
yeah. A question from Jason. Who would you stream in season long, Minshew or Fitzpatrick?
Oh, definitely Big Magic.
Minshew. Yeah, that's easy for me too. I don't see Fitzpatrick keeping the job the full season.
I wonder if you mean this week or the whole season.
He said stream in season long, Minshew or Fitzpatrick. Here, I'll pull it up for you. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it, but usually when people say season long, it just means like a season long team. But it's Fitzpatrick for me this week, though. I like Minshew, but long term it's Minshew. But here's the thing: if you're in a 12-team league, you should have a better quarterback than Minshew and Fitzpatrick. I mean, I told people to draft the second tier quarterback, and it's working out very well. Like Matt Ryan, Josh Allen. Who are those other guys? Trying to think off the top of my head.
Fine. So he's just talking about this week, and it's Fitzpatrick.
Oh, Fitzpatrick, easily this week.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea, Fitzpatrick is my highest value quarterback. He's coming in at 22 points projected for me, and he's almost 4 times value for his price. And you guys were talking about earlier on, I can't remember what the wide receiver OBJ and
Landry
who was a better value. Let me pull that up for you guys. Sorry.
Should I play? Team MZ wants to know: should he play Tyler Boyd this week? Why wouldn't
100%. 100%.
He's the alpha there. He's the best wide receiver they have.
All right. He also says, should I play Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson? Russell Wilson.
You play Russell Wilson every week. I don't care if he's going up against God at this point. You play Russell Wilson.
Wilson all the time. Yeah, Jason said he should trade one of them, which is actually a good idea because you have really two. Yeah.
Well, no, if it's a one QB league, you're gonna have a hard time trading one of them. No one's gonna trade for them if in a one QB league.
I would trade for Wilson in a one QB league. Oh my goodness!
If you're a smart owner, fantasy player, you're not going to trade for a quarterback. You never do, and you don't.
Yeah,
trade
you don't have to.
You don't trade for tight ends either, unless like Kelsey or Kittle. But even then, if you trade for Kelsey or Kittle, you're giving up depth, and that's going to hurt you.
I mean, Wilson. He says he's gotten 30+ points every week so far, but he's crying. So apparently, he set him on his bench, which.
But Jarvis Landry coming out as a better value over OBJ. OBJ is, I think, 5,900, 5,800, and Landry is 5,100. But I have a really big. I just feel like these guys are going to be very low owned in DFS too.
You play them both in DFS? You would stack them both?
Yeah, if I have Baker in my quarterback pool. I mean, mostly when I correlate my wide receivers, I only have one coming back from the other team. So I'm pretty sure my gut is telling me right now that don't play Baker. But I tell you, in the last
I can't trust Baker, man, no matter what. It's just hard for me to trust him, man.
That's the thing. I can't trust Baker, but we're doing the same thing. This is the Cowboys defense that is pretty abysmal on secondary. I mean, what better way to get really low on Baker than, in a game like this and nobody – because let's be honest, nobody thinks the Browns pass catchers are sexy. Nobody talked about them. Everybody loves Chubb. Everybody loves Hunt. But what happens if OBJ has one of those what do you call it? What do they call it when it's like a throwback game, And he goes –
It's like one-handing it?
Yeah, 150, 2 touchdowns. And this is at Dallas, so we all know OBJ loves to show off. So,
of course,
at Dallas, yeah.
By the way, just a little bit about how bad the Cowboys defense is.
1 second. This guy wants to know if he should play Justin Jefferson. He doesn't say over who.
I like to know over who.
I mean,
it's the same guy that has Russell Wilson, so he's okay. But I don't feel he will get what he got last week. And he has a solid lineup, but then COVID hit.
I mean, if you have better wide receivers, you can go look at my rankings, and that'll help you at Fantasy Pro. I'll probably try to – can I drop it here? No, I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
But Justin Jefferson, this is what I tell people. In this game environment, it's a good game environment, but the thing is, he's getting the most – I think he has the most usage or playing time as a rookie wide receiver right now in the NFL. But he got one big game. I'm one of those people that if I have to see it to believe it, consistency. And to put him in my lineup, you're looking for a ceiling, and his ceiling is there, but this is the Texans, so yeah, you can play him, but I have a feeling he has better wide receivers available.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, last week was the first time we saw more than 3 targets in the game.
Yeah.
And his snap share was at 81.7%, which was the most he had all season. And for those who want to be a little pessimistic about Jefferson, yes, he had 9 targets, 7 receptions. You take away that 71-yard, I think it was, touchdown, he still had over 100 receiving yards. So he was not just getting them in chunks; he was getting them even though at not all deep plays. So, and his air yards were 131, which, if I had to guess, was the most last week of any wide receiver. So, with that said, I agree with him. If I'm not trusting Jefferson this week, I need to see a little bit more consistency. But I expect this offense to be more pass-heavy because of the fact that they're going to be expected to keep up with teams because their defense is not going to be able to hold anybody. But am I confident this week to start him again? No, but I'd like to hear what your options are before I say if you should start him this week or not. But if I can afford not to start him, I'd rather not.
Okay, yeah. Jason wants to know, who are you planting your flag on to win the week for your team at any position? I have Patrick Mahomes, so I always plant my flag on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but that's an obvious answer, though. It's like, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. That's...
Who am I planting my flag on to win the week? I am planting my flag on Patrick Mahomes' head every week. Every week. At any
Oh,
position.
this is an every week question?
Yeah. During the week for your team. Any position.
You almost didn't have a chance to do it this week. Oh, hey, by the way, so I have to ask, where is Jared? Did he have COVID-19 with Ryan Tannehill? Like, what happened, Jared? Like, are you trying to like save Ryan Tannehill from getting COVID-19? You're protecting him from the people like this? Stop. You know. No. I think Alvin Kamara is going to be like one of those league winners. I mean, he was a top 5 running back, but he's playing like on a CMC level right now, right? So, yeah.
Hey, to answer Matt Dole's question real quick, the Packers game is a go. They are playing tomorrow night. I think he has the Patriots game. So the Patriots are playing. The Patriots Chiefs kick off at 7:05 p.m. and the Packers and Falcons game got moved to 8:50 p.m. tomorrow. So we'll be having 2 games tomorrow. So for those who did not know this already, actually the player I'm planting my flag on week in and week out is Tyler Lockett.
I like
week in and week out. I have him in both the leagues that I'm in, and I love it. I had him last year and the year before. I'm just a Lockett guy. I love Lockett.
I love Lockett. I traded for him in my dynasty. I did let's see, it was Devontae Adams and Tyler Lockett for A.J. Brown and C.D. Lamb. And I was really worried about that, but then I started looking into Lockett. I'm like, no, this guy's going to be like a top 10. I had him ranked as a top 8 wide receiver, I believe, on the fantasy side. And I was like, I don't know, man. But then I just love Lockett, man. He's one of the most efficient wide receivers we had in like the last 5 years, next to Michael Thomas, obviously. But
absolutely,
he's up there. I mean, like, and he's only getting better every year. He's improved, I swear. But love Lockett.
So wait, hold on one sec. Yeah, Team MZ. That is, as long as they play, you can play Clyde, Edward, and Harrison, and they should get points for week 4. It's not bye week. Yeah. He asked, wait, so if I play Clyde, Edward, and Harrison Butker, I would get my points for them. They play Monday. I guess he was thinking that because the game was postponed, that the fantasy points didn't count. But in every league that I'm in, fantasy points count for week 4 for that postponed game. So, yes.
Just an FYI about that. I'm a commissioner in both the leagues that I'm in. If for any reason they are not, let's say if that game, what I'm doing in my league is I've told everybody in my leagues, by 1 o'clock kickoff, give me a name that you want me to replace in case for whatever reason the game gets canceled. If it does, I will replace that player from your bench into your starting lineup. So if you're worried that the game might get canceled for any reason or anything unexpected happens, you may want to consider doing that and talk to your commissioner about that. Commissioners this year have to be really understanding, a bit more flexible than normally they would because of what's going on with the COVID-19. So just keep that in mind. Talk to your commissioner. They should be able to do that. I've seen a lot of other leagues do this. I've seen it on Twitter as well. It's the right thing to do. So please, all the commissioners out there, be flexible. Have a backup for your players who have Titans, who have Chiefs and Patriots on their team.
It's pretty.
Team MZ, what side are you playing on? He says when he puts them in, they have no projections, which they have 0 points. That's really weird because I play on 3 sites and I have Kansas City play by Mahomes.
What site is he playing on?
Hey, don't worry about the projections. Just worry about they're going to play. They're going to get you a point. I mean,
correct.
No site is that stupid to be like, oh well, they're playing, but we're not going to give you a point. You know.
Right.
It's gonna play. I think every every site is like conservative. Like, okay, well, we have to wait until we get the confirmation. Well, you got the confirmation now.
He's on Yahoo.
Yeah, they're gonna play. So I wanted to go quickly over all the top 3 plays I had at all the positions for DFS. At quarterback, my top 3 quarterbacks are Ryan Fitzpatrick, Dak Prescott, and Russell Wilson. At running back, my favorite play is Dalvin Cook. He's actually my number 1 running back over Kamara, and I know that's ballsy to say, but I just love Cook's spot today. Number 2 is Alvin Kamara. Number 3, and I had a hard time figuring this, loving this play, but it's Josh Jacobs with the Buffalo Bills. I think he's going to be very low owned, but the best value play for today is Ronald Jones and David Johnson and David Montgomery. You can play Mike Davis. One of the people, everybody's going to be on Kenyon Drake. I'm still on the fence with him. I'll play him, obviously, but temper your expectation. I think it is a breakout day, but Jonathan Taylor, I love him. But those are my main running backs. At wide receiver,
on your running backs, what about Darrell Henderson?
I have him. I like him.
Yeah.
I can't name my whole list,
You don't love him? He's not like in your top 5?
No, he's not in my top 5 because it's just he's in the top 10, if that makes you happy.
Giants are allowing the 10th most fantasy points to the running back position.
Yeah. Wide receiver is my number one value play is Devontae Parker. I love his spots.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Great matchup. His cornerback's a week. Jarvis Landry comes out my second best value. Then Preston. And then Hunter Renfrow. I love Hunter Renfrow today with no Ruggs, no Bryan Edwards. How do you say that? Is it Emmanuel or Emmanuel? How do you?
I say Emmanuel, man. Emmanuel Sanders. I'm assuming you're a fan too.
I almost say it in Spanish, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
All right, 2 quick questions. One from Daniel. If you have to pick 2, Boyd, Galladay, or DK? I'm going Galladay and DK.
Oh, DK and Boyd.
Over Galladay?
Okay,
wait.
Over Galladay.
Wait. What? DK and Boyd or who?
Galladay, DK, or Boyd? You have to pick 2, so you're dropping one of those.
Galladay. Oh, DK and Galladay.
Thank you.
Easy.
DK and Galladay, come on.
Well, that's it's not that far off. Like Boyd, I'm telling people, Boyd is the alpha there. AJ Green no longer the main guy. Boyd is so much.
I agree with that.
And the other thing is they're throwing the ball so damn much that Boyd's gonna get peppered. I wouldn't be shocked if he get. He kind of remind me of what Allen Robinson was. He got 150 targets. He kind of remind me of that. Like he's not as good as Robinson, obviously, but he's gonna get targeted. But yeah, I mean, you can go either way. I just like Galladay more because when the Saints don't have cornerback,
Lattimore's not going to be on Galladay. He's going to okay. Anyway, Matt Dahl, Robinson for Jacksonville. That I don't understand that question. So James Robinson.
He's asking if he's in play. Yeah, he's in play for both ways, season long and DFS. Dude, I just made a big trade, by the way, and I'm tapping myself on the back. I traded. I'm 3-0. So and the person I'm playing right now has an incredible team. I'm there's no way I'm going to beat them. So I went and made a trade for the future, and I'm all right, I'll trade Robinson and AJ Green for Chris Godwin. And I was okay, and it got accepted, and hopefully it got processed. I got to check that league to make sure that it got processed.
Daniel wants to know Mike Sanders or Mike Davis full PPR. He's Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders or who?
Or Mike Davis. Full PPR. Mike
Davis for me.
Davis for me.
Miles Sanders versus Mike Davis?
Yeah.
It's Miles Sanders.
Sanders. I'm going Mike Davis there.
But why would it be Mike? Okay. I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, but guys, they don't have any wide receivers.
No, okay. So, all right. So last week, let's just talk about last week. Last week, how many red zone targets do you think Mike Davis had?
I know what he got, but I'm just saying, you drafted Miles Sanders in the top 2 rounds?
Probably, very likely, yes.
Likely.
You're going to start him, or you're going to start a guy that you just picked up off waiver 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, you picked him off the waivers because they lost their number one.
They lost CMC, and he's getting that CMC treatment. He had 3 red zone rushes, 4 red zone targets. He had 22 total touches from that offense last week alone. I love that distribution of his, especially in the red zone. That's 7 total touches.
Wait. Why are the Eagles? Who are the Eagles playing? Are they even playing?
Yeah, the Eagles. They're healthy enough to play. They can put bodies on the field. They got bodies to put on the field.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure. The Eagles are playing San
Francisco.
I was tripping. Okay. Sorry about that. I was looking at my game filter on this website that I use an optimizer, and they don't have that game on DraftKings today, so that's why I was like today. Yeah. So, but no, yeah, against 49ers, I'm still taking I'm one of those guys. If I drafted you in the top 3 rounds, you're starting every week in and week out.
All right, quick question. Do you guys think Nick Chubb is going to be as good as he did last week now that he's going against the Dallas D? I don't think it's the Dallas D you have to worry about. I think the Dallas offense. I don't think Chubb is going to be as good because they're going to be throwing the ball as much more. That's just my opinion.
Not just that Hunt is active as well this week. But I think Chubb's upside is a little bit capped just because of what you just said. It's going to be a high-scoring game. The Browns are going to be expected to throw the ball a ton. So I don't think it's the Cowboys' defense as much as it's game script for me.
Yeah, game script. What do you got, Gerson? Do you think it's going to be as good?
Wait. Sorry, I got distracted by breaking news, but
that's okay.
I hate when I get like a vibrate and it's breaking news because like DFS, you have to be on that. But you said something about Nick Chubb with the Cowboys. What was that?
Do you think Chubb is going to be as good this week as he was last week? Basically, that's the question.
I mean, he's probably going to be better because the Cowboys defense is so bad. I mean, I just think the Cowboys defense. They've been trying to hype up Aldon Smith. I don't care if you get 2 sacks a game. If you're allowing 40 points, 30 points a game, I think the Cowboys are allowing what? Like 28, 27 points a game, something like that?
No, to the running back position or just in general?
Well, let's take to the running back. I think.
To the running back, they're allowing 15.2 fantasy points. Oh, wait, sorry. That's the wrong team. That's the Browns I had up. The Cowboys are allowing to the running back position.
I got it right there. Dallas.
The Cowboys are allowing 16.9 points, fantasy points a game to the running back position.
I'm trying to think who are the running backs they played because that matters too. Let's see. The Rams. Gurley.
They played the Rams. They take Gurley and Chris Carson.
Not those. Chris Carson, I guess, is okay, but I consider
It's okay. Chris Carson's okay.
Hey, I mean, when you have Russell Wilson cooking, I mean, that way, No,
okay, if you want to put it that way, then Baker Mayfield, is he really going to open lanes up for Nick Chubb? If that's what the argument is here?
Well, here's my rebuttal. We're going Nick Chubb, the guy that's elite. I mean, I don't consider Carson elite. I don't know if you do. I consider him like a running back 2. Maybe high
I agree
end.
with you. I'm not going to call Chris Carson elite. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not saying here bench him. You're starting Nick Chubb every week regardless. I just think his upside's a little capped this week is all.
Yeah. So Kyle wants to know, in a half PPR, should he start T. Higgins, Mark Ingram, or Joe Mixon?
Joe Mixon, buddy. Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mixon. Volume is king.
I say T. Higgins, but that's just me. All right, Matt Dahl.
I mean, John Hunt's not active. I'm assuming he's a healthy scratch. Higgins will be playing on a lot of the snaps, but I'm taking Mixon.
Half PPR. Okay, Matt Dahl says that even though Seattle has a terrible pass defense, will Miami's offense put up the numbers needed to start the core players? Oh, yeah.
Yes, and yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
I can make an argument that you benched Miles Gaskin this week.
So we got cut off on a wide receiver while I was breaking down, but that's definitely a for sure. You just play the Dolphins, but the top guys that I actually like at the wide receiver position are definitely DeAndre Hopkins, number 1, then Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I like Kenny D a lot this week too because of the matchup. But one guy that's going off the radar and he's actually coming at 7% ownership is Mike Evans. He's been moved into the slot a lot, and you guys got to think about it. I mean, Tom Brady loved little tiny grocery bag wide receivers, and now he has a real man like Mike Evans playing this.
Little man Mike Evans.
Wipe that from my memory.
Because what's his name is not going to move to the slot is the cornerback. The best cornerback they have, not Desmond King, the other one for the Chargers.
Casey Hayward?
Yeah, he's not moving to the slot. He's not a slot cornerback. He's not that good there. He's an outside cornerback. So I like Mike Evans.
But isn't Casey Hayward a shadow corner though?
Yeah, but
He's probably going to shadow Evans, I think. I think Casey.
I think he's going to shadow Evans, even if it's in the
slot. I think, but I think Casey Hayward's shadowing Evans all day. Daniel wants to know pick a flex, Boyd or Davis in a full PPR.
Davis with Davis.
In a full PPR?
Wait.
Was it Boyd? Is it Boyd or Diggs?
Is it Mike Davis he's asking about?
I'm thinking it's Mike Davis.
I'm going Boyd.
I'm going Boyd.
I'm going. Wait, Mike Davis or Tyler Boyd? Who you start this week?
In a flex position on a PPR, yeah.
Boyd for me.
Boyd.
It's just close. It's not that far apart.
I'm still going Mike Davis.
Okay.
I'm still going Mike Davis here.
Mike Davis just to the opposite.
All right.
Last question. My dad and I gave him Terry McLaurin and Gaskin, and he gave me Dalvin Cook. A good trade or no?
That's a great trade. If you get
that's not a good trade. That's a fantastic trade.
That is a fantastic trade.
That's more value than your trade deserved.
Took advantage of his father.
Hey, buddy, your dad just wants you to pop out kid for him, to be a grandpa. So we're running out of time. I want to quickly go over the last couple of positions. So, just back that game. Tight end, there's one guy that I want to get on and talk about. Dan Waller's a great play. Mike Gesicki, great play. TJ Hawkinson, elite play. Austin Hooper on the fence with him. But the one guy that I really I'm gonna be overweight on is Adam Troutman out of Dayton for the New Orleans Saints. He's so cheap; it allows you to pay up for anything on your roster. He's $2,500 on DraftKings, $4,000 on FanDuel. That's minimum price on both sides. So with no Michael Thomas, no what's his name? Kamara playing. I was thinking he wasn't gonna play, but either way, what's their name? Detroit Lions are playing, right? Okay, goodness.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
They're gonna score, and so is New Orleans. And Drew Brees, he had I believe if I'm right, he had the lowest A dot right now for quarterback. He doesn't.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Yeah, he's bottom in pretty much
everything. So basically, we see what Jared Cook he got targeted. And this guy is supposed to be the future of the New Orleans Saints. He's supposed to be the tight end. They traded up for him. They basically gave up almost all their second-day draft picks just to get him. I love him, and I'm gonna jump on it. He's coming in really low owned. If I can get him to get me, I'm not looking for 20, 15 points. I'm looking for 10 points. 10 points. That's 4 receptions and 40 yards. 5 receptions, 50 yards.
By the way, in the 2 games that Jared Cook did play fully, he had 13 and 9.3 fantasy points. So the floor is the expectation you have is very fair at 10 points. Yeah. It's probably what you're going to get for him.
And he's so cheap, $2,500. Like right now, I have him. My projections are 11 points, and that's just I'm being very aggressive because I want him in my lineup because I'm trying to get Kamara. I'm trying to get Dalvin Cook. I'm trying to get that game of Russell Wilson's not cheap no more with that stat. So yeah.
All right. So we're out of questions. We're out of time. Hamid, your parting shots, please.
My parting shots. David Montgomery and T.Y. Hilton, neither of them, I'm expecting David Montgomery to have a decent game just because of volume. I think he's a volume-based high RB3, low RB2 this week just because of the matchup against the Colts. T.Y. Hilton on the other side of the ball has Kyle Fuller covering him today, one of the best corners in the league. I think he's going to have another bad game. Still the weeks where you can still buy low on both of them. Significantly on Hilton as well because this will be another really bad game for him. He hasn't been in double-digit fantasy points at all this season. So my 2 buy low guys this week are in the same game. David Montgomery and T.Y. Hilton after this week. Also, you can find me on FFJunkie85 on Twitter and also a contributor for the GoingFor2.com. You can I write about Dynasty buy low and sell high every Wednesday and Thursday. Every Wednesday, 2 Thursdays.
All right. You guys know that I am high on TJ Hawkinson for your tight end, and actually James Robinson for your running back this week. I also agree with what Gerson said. I play a couple of DFS this week, and I do have the New Orleans Saints tight end in that position. He is very cheap, and you can go high in the other ones. But you can find me on Twitter at NeverEnoughGLT. Thursdays start and sit on GoingFor2 and some other articles. Gerson, thank you for joining. What do you got though?
Just follow me on Tuesday. I do the Waiver Wire show on GoingFor2.com. And then on Friday, we have the DFS show. Tune in. We've had a lot of great, a great audience just tuning in, asking questions. I love that. And then it's just find me here next week and just find me at Twitter, the Fantasy G Pod. Ask me any questions you want. I get busy right now. Like, I should be making rosters. I'm like on time limit. But just find me at the Fantasy G Podcast / DFS Roundtable on Facebook. And good luck to everybody. I hope everybody makes money. If not, you win your team, your league, your season long, and your dynasty team. And, let's kick ass this week. It's week 4. And guys, don't worry about COVID-19. The NFL is a $16 billion company. They're going to find a way, even if they have to rent the whole Disneyland once the NBA's out, they're going to find a way to make it happen. These players want to get paid, and the owners, they know they want their players to play at their stadiums, obviously, and they want fans to come back. They're going to make it happen. Let's just calm down, relax, and let's go, baby.
All right, everyone.
Also,
thank you for listening.
Just one last thing. Sorry, Jason Aguirre wants us to give a shout out. Start the Chiefs defense against Brian Hoyer and the Patriots. His recommendation. So just a shout out for Jason there.
All right. Thank you, guys. We will see you next Sunday. Good luck.
Yep. Have a good one.